what we'll do first is we'll just decide as a group which variable you want to get by itself. Want to get the y by itself? A little bit of mental math. There's nothing really easy to get by itself. Can you see if you get the y by itself, you'd either have to divide by 3 or 6, depending on which equation. If you get the x by itself, you'd have to divide by 5 or divide by 4. Because 18 divides nicely by 3 and divides nicely by 6, I think it does make sense to get the y by itself. We'll have a little bit less fractions. Which equation do you want to get the y by itself? Equation 1 or equation 2? Equation 1? Okay. To get the y by itself, the first thing you would need to do is subtract 5x on both sides. That would give you negative 3y equals negative 5x plus 18. And now to get the y by itself, you divide everything by negative 3. Just write that here, negative 3 here, negative 3 here, negative 3 there. A negative divided by a negative will be positive 5 over 3x. 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. So now we've gotten y by itself. That's step 1. And then we take our second equation and rewrite our second equation. But instead of writing y, 5 over 3x minus 6. Okay, now it's a grade 9 question. First of all, you're going to need to distribute. And when I multiply that negative 6 through, it's negative 6 over 1. It will be minus 30 over 3x. And negative 6 times negative 6 will be plus 36 equals 18. The 30 over 3 can simplify to negative 10, yes. Now 4x minus 10x would be negative 6x. When I subtract 36 on both sides, I'd get negative 18. Divide both sides by negative 6, and we get x equals 3. Once you have x equals 3, you can choose equation 1 or equation 2 to plug it in. Equation 1. Equation 1 was 5x minus 3y equals 18. It doesn't matter. Let's do 5x minus 3y. It doesn't even have any fractions then, which is kind of nice. 5x minus 3y equals 18. 5 times 3 would be 15. Subtract 15 on both sides. We would get negative 3y equals 3. Divide both sides by negative 3. And we get y equals negative 1. Our solution is 3, negative 1. The nice thing about these questions is once you get a solution, if you want to know if you're right, plug it back into both equations. If I plug in 3 and negative 1 in the first equation, do I get 18? Yes, I do. When I plug in 3 and negative 1 into the second equation, can you see that you get 18? That way you know that you get it right. That you're right and you're like, woohoo. I can scroll back down. If you make a little mistake in your algebra, grade 9 algebra stuff, and you get a fraction, can you see that that makes the rest of your question harder? You'll probably get another fraction for y. And then if you want to check to see if you got it right, you're checking 2 fractions instead of checking 2 nice numbers. Not guaranteed that your answers will not be fractions, but most of the questions that they start you off with end up with nicer numbers.